Okay, so it's been a while and I haven't done a video in about a minute. Well, actually, in a week. Almost like as if I was dead or something. And actually, ironically, that is the topic of today's rant: death. You know, there's lots of psychological things surrounding death. You know, the concept, I think, is one of the hardest concepts for humans to understand. It's like, what is it like when you die? See, that's like a question that cannot be answered because one of the interesting things about death is you will never know that you are dead. Matter of fact, you will never have evidence that you ever died. And that's what makes this whole thing about death, whenever we talk about death, kind of crazy, kind of weird. It's hard to understand. Is however bad death is something that you can never experience. I mean, I think what we can at best do is experience um, feelings or experience stimulus that in that leads us to believe we are about to die, and then from there have this feeling about what death would mean to us, even though death is not going to mean anything to us at all. Now, it's going to mean something to your loved ones, your family, and stuff like that. But I hear people talk about you're going to miss all of this, or you're going to miss X, you're going to miss Y if you die. You're going to miss all the fun. And once again, I mean, that's what's unique about death. When you die, you ain't missing nothing. You're not going to miss anything. You're just gone. You cease to exist. Funny thing is, we don't know how it feels to cease to exist. So, it's a whole strange kind of thing surrounding that. Um, the only thing that, the only reason why I think a lot of us, fear death is usually death is not painless, so therefore it's that violence that we're kind of afraid of, like, or not even violence, it's the pain that we're afraid of as we think death approaches, whether or not you're bleeding out, or whether or not you're starving to death, or you're drowning. And then thinking about what it means to not exist. Of course, that that's irrelevant because there's nothing to think about. You're dead. So that's one of the interesting things. Then you got the other thing about people that talk about near death. They talk about near death experience now, but they'll say it in a way of I died, and then I floated above my body, and I saw my body, and then I went back into my body. But at least to our best ability, as far as what we know about what happens at near death, it's you're not dead. I mean, that's why it's called near death experience, right? It's not called death experience. So people look at that and conflate that whatever feeling they were feeling to, because it's like not normal, or they don't normally feel it, or probably have never felt it. They just assume, well, that's what death must be. So that in itself doesn't make any sense. Death is permanent by definition, right? Because no matter how many times we revive somebody, if you're revived, we're just going to assume you were never dead, because that's just not the definition of death, of being dead. Dead is defined as being permanent. If you're coming back, you were never dead. As simple as that. So unless we change the definition, at the very least, at least until we change the definition that's often used by the average person on the street, death is always permanent. So whatever it is that's not permanent, that's not death. Okay. So the other thing is people look at, because once you're dead, it's like once you're dead, imagine all the things that could be you'll never know. And sometimes people feel sad about it, but you really shouldn't feel sad about it, because on the flip side, look at all the stuff that we missed. I mean, imagine, well, maybe not imagine, but for the sake of argument, the dinosaur, you know, missing the time when there were huge insects. Not too sure why you would miss that. But, basically missing the prehistoric times, at least that we see through books. Of course, that has, you don't want to live in that period, obviously. But the point is, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we've missed that we're okay with, you know. And so death is something that we shouldn't worry about, because at the end of the day, we won't worry about it because we can't. Okay, I'm out, but not dead.